Oh, hello there. We're just getting ready to spoil each other on television shows. It's Spoilerin time. And of course, as we do every week these days, we'll be spoiling episode of Justified. It'll be episode 2 of season 2. Before that, we'll spoil episode 1 of season 6 of Game of Thrones, the season finale of season 2 of Better Call Saul. But I must tell you that I'm Tom Merritt and bring in my beloved co-host, Brian Brushwood. Brian, are you ready to spoil some people?
I wouldn't feel like it's a proper spoiler in time if I didn't acknowledge the elephant in the room. Here's my elephant, Jaime.
Oh,
really? I'm sorry. I shouldn't have had that extra donut.
Yeah. Hey, Jaime.
He just means that
guys.
you have a great memory.
Yes.
You're really smart. You have a big brain.
He communicates by infrasound. He's the only other animal that grieves for its
Your teeth are
dead
protected
people.
from hunting.
Yeah. That's it.
Just be careful. Remember, Brian can't steal your teeth and sell them. It's against
It's against the law.
Well, I mean, that's, the illegality creates a perverse incentive for me to do exactly that.
Jaime, so have you watched these shows? Are you going to hang with us?
Yes, I can.
All right,
Absolutely.
fantastic. We are going to start by checking in on the summer movie draft.
Oh, man.
Things are heating up inside.
Hey, can I tell you a little bit of behind-the-scenes talk?
First of all, let me express my sincere joy that the Jungle Book is at 192 million, and my sincere desperation that the Huntsman Winter's War apparently went down. I thought it got 20 million over the weekend, and it's now at 19 million.
They revised it, and it did even worse. Well, you have a fantastic position as number 2. The combination of those two together is $25. I got to tell you, man, Night Attack, we're in a distant third place. And again, it's a little bit funny because, we spent $24 almost as a joke on Hardcore Henry, but Team Chainsaw Suit has spent $26, and they're at $320 million. You spent $25, you're at $211 million, and it looks like there's a lot more gas left in the tank.
Yeah, I would have liked the Huntsman Winter's War to do a lot better than 19,445,000, but it's not the end of the world. Keanu's out for me this week. That's the movie that's out along with Mother's Day, which is Chainsaw Suits. I think they'll get a little bit for their $5 out of that. I think I'll get a little bit out of Keanu for the $6.
I think Keanu's going to do great at a $6 buy. I think you're going to be very happy with the results.
But I've got to make up ground now. The Huntsman Winter's War has definitely left me behind my projections, although the Jungle Book is making up a lot of that ground for me because it's ahead of my projections. And I still think Chainsaw Suit is going to be hard to catch, but it's still anybody's ball game. I mean, anybody or movie draft.
Oh, I got to tell you, I think Chainsaw Suit is in real trouble. I think Mother's Day will do decent money. Alice Through the Looking Glass, I think, will disappoint. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I'm certain will disappoint. It's one of those.
Really? See, I think that one will do well.
Usually, the first sequel never does as well as the original, and based on the original, those weren't extraordinary numbers. Out of the Shadows, Central Intelligence may be the thing that surprises and gets them a victory at the end of all this.
Yeah. And I'm banking now on Star Trek Beyond and Suicide Squad. Those have to outperform what I think are going to be good performances.
You think Alice will underperform?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's what did the first Alice do? Let's jump over to Box Office Mojo and see what the first Alice movie did.
Go ask Alice. I think she'll know.
Alice.
Because I have the same feeling, Jaime, where it's like, really? You think it won't do well? But I have also recognized this feeling of me looking at a movie and going, ooh, that looks really good, but knowing that nobody else cares.
The first Alice in Wonderland did 334. I'm going to say maybe 240 on this sequel 5 years later.
Yeah. So Jaime, do you have movies in this hunt? Are you in the chat realm?
I'm not in the draft this time around. I wish I were, but I kind of got in a little late. I still think if I did, I would definitely do Suicide Squad for me is going to do really good. I think it's what we. Basically, we have like a hangover from Batman v Superman, and I think this is what cures it
I'll tell you, the cure is going to be friggin' Civil War.
Captain America.
Full disclaimer.
It's going to bring in some Night Attack dollars, I'm just saying. All right, that's enough movie draft fun. Let's get into Better Call Saul, the season finale.
Dude, it was okay. First of all, I have to chime in on my ongoing drama with Sling TV because I mentioned in the main program that I have a very old-fashioned experience watching Better Call Saul on Sling. In that I can't pause. There's no DVR capability whatsoever. I have to show up on time. I have to go pee during the commercials and all that stuff. And that's fine for what it is. It's not so great when they cut off the end of the program. But immediately at the end of this episode, I want to kind of begin at the ending. Tom reaches out and is just like, were you able to see the ending? By which he meant, were you physically able to see the ending? But I responded God damn it, Bonnie ruined the ending for me.
Oh.
Bonnie has that crazy laser vision where she sees stuff coming a mile ahead 15 minutes before like he walks into the room and there's tinfoil going up everywhere. Mylar, I'm aware of the difference. And she goes, oh, so he went into the garage to get a tape recorder and this is all an act. And then it's unconscious when she says it. And then I look at her and she goes, oh, I'm sorry, I did it again, didn't I? And she was 100% right.
Yeah. And I didn't see it coming that far ahead. As soon as he sort of capitulated, as soon as he left the room, I was like, oh crap, he recorded this somehow. And it was right then that he pulls out, because I'm like, he just looked too smug. But yeah, Bonnie had her antenna up. So now again, we see how next season Chuck can bring holy hell down on not just Jimmy, but on Kim as well.
So here's one of the problems is I'm well trained in the art of Jimmy Foo at this point. And as a result, as he was saying everything, I was like, this is being recorded. Is this evidence or whatever? And it just seems like I know it was meant to be a big shocker, like, oh, Chuck finally has the drop on Jimmy, real trouble now. I didn't feel any of it. I feel like the first episode of next season, he'll be confronted with this and he'll say, my brother's crazy. This is the stuff you say to a crazy person. You tell them what they want to hear.
I think it'll be more intricate than that. I think it will be, this is pretty ironclad, Jimmy. You're in trouble. And I don't think he'll be able to say my brother's crazy. I think it will be the only way that you'll be able to prevent this from being used against you to disbar you is to have him committed, so that therefore nothing you said to him becomes admissible.
Oh, that would be interesting.
And that maybe pushes him.
And so he'll have to choose. Do I?
And you know what? Now that I think about it, like I don't even think disbarment. I think disbarment would not be
prosecution. Yeah,
would not be likely, or prosecution or any of that. I don't think any of that will be likely. I think that Jimmy would want to avoid this becoming a spectacle of any kind.
Well, he'll want to protect Kim too. That'll be the other thing.
Shoot. Yeah, no. The moment it drags Kim into it.
So when did Chuck turn into Kingpin?
Did you not realize he's always been this?
Yeah, but he's now formidable. He's now like a supervillain to Jimmy's particular brand of dysfunction.
I mean, he's an asshole. He's an asshole with a metal blanket. He's an asshole without a metal blanket. Yeah. He's a jerk brother. And no matter what, Jimmy is, blood thicker than water, all that. Jimmy's going to fall for it every time. He's Lucy with that football. Every time he's going to set up Jimmy and then yank it away because he's an asshole.
Yeah, man.
Now, the other plot line here is Mike drawing a bead on Hector Salamanca to take him out and having someone put a stick in his car to set the horn off, stopping him from being able to execute that. And the note that says don't. Now, it would be theoretical that Nacho would do that, but we just saw Nacho down there walk into a building. So who is this? Variety has an article that came out last week that points out that if you take the first letter of every episode in season 2, it is an anagram for Fring's back.
What?
Variety spoke with showrunners Peter Gould and Vince Gilligan about why they chose to tease Fring in this fashion. And they said, Gus Fring is back? Maybe. If we knew for sure one way or the other, I'd be more comfortable saying that we want them to marinate in that. I have to say, we did not think the clues in the titles would be decoded as quickly as they were.
Wait, so they admitted it? They confessed it?
Now that the cat is out of the bag, we're certainly thinking Gus Fring had a hand in what happened with Mike at the end of season 2. Having said that, Gus Fring works in mysterious ways. He casts a long shadow. He works indirectly.
That's disappointing, actually.
Why is that disappointing?
Well, because it's a little too Deus Ex Machina. Because, okay, the story that we've been told so far occurs within a very set playground. And I was already decided that Nacho was just wise enough to suspect that that Mike would try something like this, and he gets a guy to stop him. I'm so much more interested in seeing Nacho set up as a more interesting character, because then that would explain why Nacho would deliberately stand at because if Nacho knew where he was likely to set up his sniper attack, then it would make sense that Nacho would know where to place himself to keep Salamanca from being shot, and all of that fit, right? But then to just say, you know,
but well, if you go deep enough, you can say Nacho is willing to, you know, betray his uncle because he has he has backing, and maybe that backing is Gus Fring.
Yeah, is there any reason to say it's not both?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it could be.
That was my theory, is that Nacho goes to Fring and says, look, man, this guy Mike is off the hook. I don't know what to do. I can't let Grandpa know. And Gus says, I'll take care of it. I'll put a tail on him. You'll never know.
Interesting. Yeah, it could be. And look, I'm not in the business of doubting any of the team behind Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul. I'm just saying that if all of this is, whatever, I'm just gonna assume it's gonna work out. That's fine.
Am I the only one who's tired with the Jimmy stories and wants to see some Saul stories? Wants to see some solving, some weird
some
solving
soul food?
Yeah, some soul food. Exactly.
I disagree. I think that
like Jimmy?
I think that
we've seen Jimmy. We've seen Saul.
Yeah, we're
over.
very familiar. I mean, the spoiler alert: at the end of the series, he becomes a cartoon character.
Okay.
I'm not really enamored by that cartoon character. The human being that eventually descends into being that cartoon character is very interesting. So in that regard, I'm in no rush to get to that cartoon character.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to a show that always kills people, Game of Thrones, Episode 1, Season 6, in which we are not disappointed if we're here for the deaths, because Dr. Bashir is stabbed in the gut.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start with that. I, for one, have never been terribly enamored with any of the Dornish plots. All of the set pieces that take place in Dorne.
Because you don't like Dornishmen.
I mean, that's fine. I'm a Dornish racist. Go ahead.
You're a
Take that
Dornist.
to the bank. I prejudge.
You never liked Michael Dorn. You don't like calling doors Dorn.
You don't like
I can't think of any other words that have Dorn in them.
The Dorns. Jim Morrison, too close to the Dorns. I'm not liking it.
So no, you've never been. Okay, you're not a Dorn fan. Got it.
Well, and which is to say, I don't hate, tropical palm trees or whatever, but I'm just going to say, like, in general, those set pieces, with the exception of the poisoning of Marcella, which technically took place not on Dorne.
Not on Dorne.
I think has been fairly weak. Will you tell me?
I kind of agree that the Dorne story in the television show has been a little bit thin. Like in the books, I feel like they give it a lot more weight and a lot more context, which they just don't have time to do. But I think what they're making up for is getting you really interested in the Vipers, and the Vipers just took over. And I think that is now finally like, oh, well, that is interesting. Because now we've got another... Dorne in the books has always been the safe kingdom that was supporting King's Landing.
Right.
and now they've suddenly crossed over.
Yeah, they've become an antagonist. It's going to be an enemy along with, I guess, the White Walkers, and now we're not spoiling anything because we know nothing.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Oh my gosh. This was the first episode that we were able to go in as book readers not knowing anything. It was so much fun for me. Or not even thinking we knew anything because
Right.
even obviously we never knew anything since they deviate from the source material. Let's go smallest to biggest. Tyrion, he's small. I actually meant chronologically. I meant he has the smallest slice. I enjoyed.
What does that mean?
Smallest
time.
slice of the plot.
The smallest part of the story.
Small
Yeah.
screen's time.
Yeah. I loved just seeing him and Varys doing their walking around thing. It was a charming little
Yeah.
vignette. Thought it was great.
Yeah, you walk like a rich man, and he does. He does well.
And you've made a study of this, have you?
Of course.
Yeah.
I know we're gonna go with all the slices in order, but I have to say that outside of the Dornishman getting stabbed, nothing happens in this episode, and I'm mostly okay with that. But I felt like, okay, so we got a lot of reactions. We're spending a lot of time saying this happened and this is how we're
we
reacting.
also-
And so that is exactly what you get with Tyrion. Was like, well, Daenerys left and the people are revolting. What are we gonna do? Well, let's react.
We also
right?
get a lot of setup, right? We are told where all the main characters are, and it gets very well established. Daenerys is with the Khalizar, and Jon Snow is in that room, and so forth and so on. So we get like an establishing shot of everything, and it's, to me, it's a stage for the action to happen.
Well, this is also the first confirmation. Am I right in remembering this? This is the first confirmation that Sansa and Theon survived, and we have that.
Yeah, and it was more
moment.
of a just like, so we're after them. I'm like, oh, I guess they survived. I guess there was no doubt about it.
Which, to be honest, I loved because they sort of in the convention
I kind
they
of assumed
didn't
they
make
survived anyway.
What's that? Yeah, exactly. They told the story in such a way that you're like, well, I bet they live, and then sure enough, you're right. I thought that moment with Brienne pledging her sword to Sansa was electric. I thought that was great.
wonderful.
Like complete with the misstep and Sansa not knowing
Yeah, she
the
couldn't even
right
get the
lines.
words right.
It was great. It was great. I loved that.
Yeah, it was such a well directed piece and well acted, because it made you feel like, oh, she did study this stuff and is trying to remember it now. Like it felt really real.
It's so funny to see somebody who has descended into such misery be yanked back to the world of propriety. This is one of the wonderful things about Brienne of Tarth, is that she walks that line. She can slaughter people and then do the noble speaking
she's
afterwards.
a knight. She's actually the most knightly of all the knights we've seen.
Absolutely. I think they gave just the right amount of time to Arya's story.
Yes.
I was not thrilled that, and again, hey, guess what? There was a book before there was a television show. In the book, it was not a punishment to be made blind for using her powers inappropriately, the way they're making it out to be on the television show. But if that's the way they're going in the television show, that's fine, because it's clear that we've gotten to this point where it's like, hey, guess what? Part of your training is to learn to fight blind and to learn how to do everything blind.
Oh, you're talking about Arya Stark, the devil of Bravo's kitchen, who gets trained by sticks?
Didn't we have a clip from Cargill talking about that whole setup at the beginning?
Yeah. We thought about making it anyway. Yeah. No, it was a good. I actually agree with you. I think all of the slices are the right length. We don't spend too much time with Cersei. We don't spend hardly any time with Marjorie. And that's why this episode feels like not much happened, because we're really just checking in. We're like, okay, Jon Snow's dead. Here's what's happening in reaction to that, right? And I guess we get a little bit of progress there because he comes out and says, yeah, we did it, and this is why we did it. And he's trying to consolidate the Night's Watch around him. The only thing that stuck out for me, which it was kind of explained in the post-show behind-the-scenes look, was why Melisandre decided to take off her magic necklace and show us that she's really old. Like, I feel like that must going to be paying off later. I don't know.
I think Okay, feel me out on this. I'm trying this on for the first time right now, so I might be wrong about this. I feel like in general, every second Melisandre has been on screen, she's been unlikable and unrelatable and unpleasant.
Haughty.
If you are going to, let's say hypothetically, set up a situation, and I don't know this, if you were going to set up a situation where Melisandre was able to act heroically, because by the way, keep in mind, there was one thing that was extraordinary about this episode in that we had the scene, I believe for the first time ever, in which Jaime and Cersei were completely relatable and sympathetic. Yes. I truly pitied Cersei Lannister, and I've already, we've already seen this kind of redemptive arc with Jaime, a person who's vilified the moment he kicks Bran out the window in the very first episode. Right. If we can begin that arc with Melisandre, I think it makes sense to have a scene of extreme vulnerability with her getting totally naked for us and taking away her glamour for a brief moment, just not for anyone, but for us, the viewer, to say, I am an old woman who's seen a lot. I have powers that are lies, but there might be something real happening here. I feel like that's an important setup.
And it does show, I'm sorry, Jaime,
go ahead.
it does show that she has real powers, or else she wouldn't still be able to be alive. Go ahead.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It basically establishes that at least glamour magic is real. Because we've seen all these interesting, there's dragons and there's some mental powers and stuff, but this is more of the old magic kind of thing, and it kind of establishes that the rest of the series is going to be in a world where magic is present, and I think it opens up a lot of possibilities. Maybe even. Dare I think it? Maybe Jon walks out of that room.
Oh, I think that's. By the way, there's an excellent video. Everybody, if you go to crack.com and look at their video. I think it's coyly phrased as answering the most important Game of Thrones question. But basically, and excuse the curse words that are about to happen, they settled the debate with a fictitious appearance from the two show creators about whether or not Jon Snow is alive or alive as f***. And they go back through all the things. Unfortunately, if you listen to it, they sketch out so specifically the coy, specific language they use about how, like, no, I'm definitely not back next season. Jon Snow is definitely not returning. That kind of spells out that maybe we're looking at an entire season of Kit Harington not being in the show, and we'll have to. And that's the only thing that does annoy me is the idea that we're gonna have to wait.
Well,
10
it's already
or
a
12.
lie because he was in episode 1 and credited.
Right.
So if you're gonna play this legalistic game.
Oh, fair enough.
Like,
yeah,
he was in the show.
Also, I didn't say he was alive when he walked out of the room. He could just walk out of the room. They're keeping that according to the tradition that you should have burned that guy like at the beginning of the scene.
There is precedent for those of you who haven't read the book. I'm not going to spoil it, but there is a character in the book that you think is dead and then comes back, and it's not Jon Snow.
Right.
It's not related to this plot line, but there is precedent in that world for someone to have been dead and be resurrected, and we sort of got a hint of that with that big, weird Kingsguard guy.
Yeah, Clegane.
And maybe that's going to happen with Jon Snow.
Yeah. Okay. It's difficult because I wonder where our responsibilities lie, because part of me wants to...
Our responsibility is to assume that there are people in the audience who've never read the book but would like to read it and don't want to be spoiled on anything that is in the book and not in the show.
No, that's fine, but can we speculate wildly about what about fan theories that about where stuff heads?
Well, yeah. I mean, there are people who think fan theories are spoilers, and if that's one of you, well, this is spoiler in time.
Okay, yeah.
This is not spoiler in time for books. That's why we're being cagey about that, but it is spoiler in time for the show.
If you don't mind us going into fan theory territory for a while, one of my favorite, a fan theory that makes a lot of sense, last chance for you to skip this part, is that, awfully curious that Jon Snow dies the moment that the Red Woman who has a huge hard-on for King's Blood, shows up.
Yeah.
And also, isn't it weird that Jon Snow, a respectable man like Ned Stark would just come home with a bastard? That doesn't seem like Ned Stark. And the theory is, look, he's a Targaryen. He brought him home, said it was his bastard, raised him as his own. And if you put two and two together, the Red Lady loves King's Blood. She's going to wave her magic hands, and Jon Snow, the character, will be dead. But guess who's now alive? Jon Targaryen, who, because he's a Targaryen, can now marry the what's her name?
Daenerys?
Yeah, Daenerys. And bada bing bang.
Because they love doing that.
Yeah.
Look it up.
Yeah.
They do. They do.
Brothers and sisters and stuff. So,
But they wouldn't be brothers and sisters, right?
They'd be
no, but
cousins or
so in other
cousins.
words, he could definitely marry her because
Yeah.
they're not even brother and sister.
Yeah.
But even brother and sister can marry in the
Yeah, this
Targaryen
is-
world. So
One of the best comments in that cracked video was they point out like, hey, look at this scene where there's literally snow on the throne. You think that's an accident?
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, that does work out, doesn't it?
that's a stretch.
Yeah.
Like, there's all kinds of reasons for that. But hey, who am I to say? Maybe it's on purpose. Maybe it's like making an anagram of Fring's back. I don't know.
Yeah, right? In a world where that turned out to be right, how crackpot would that have sounded until
Yeah, I
the
know.
creators are like, yeah, no, that's right.
No, but in general, I think it was a beautiful episode. It was, it wasn't one of these intermediate things. It was the beginning, but it was also a complete story. And I think the end is wonderful. It's shock, and also it makes you understand this person, and maybe she's lived 500 years, 600 years, whatever, and you don't know what her intentions are or not.
Well, in the behind the scenes, they said she'd lived thousands of years,
oh
or at least 1,000, I think.
wow.
Oh, I thought it was 400.
So yeah, she knows
Was
things.
it 400?
That's the apocryphal stuff I
She
read
knows
online.
true truths for sure.
Yeah, true truths.
True truths. Lots to talk about. It's going to get even more talk about next week. I have a feeling 'cause things will start happening. We have
So
many
excited.
set pieces
It's the
in
best
place.
show on television, Tom.
we
It's
didn't
finally
even talk
back.
about Daenerys facing down the Khal, and now they're going to you know what we're going to do? We're going to send you over to the old folks' home. Sorry.
Yeah, somebody pointed out, I forget where I read it online, but somebody was pointing out that it's unfortunate. It's a fine scene when she stands up for herself and positions herself as a person of authority, and she, essentially spits in the face of a call. But somebody was pointing out, like, why this call looks so much weaker because he's got like a pack of hyenas doing a comedy routine behind him where they're all like, okay, one of the top 5 things is raping a woman. Am I right, guys? It's that sort of turns down the volume on the fear factor there, especially knowing that Drogon's not going to be gone
Yeah.
forever. He's
You
going to show
what?
up.
You don't like a good comedy routine?
Yeah. Fair enough.
No, I actually enjoyed how long they kept the Dothraki discourse on the horse, and she's just like, okay, I'm writing that one down. Your name is okay, and they kept it long enough. And I think there's going to be some comeuppance later. It's obvious to me also that she comes out of the Grass Sea or Dune Sea or whatever with a Khalisar, with a huge bunch of horses.
Yeah, I guess the problem is whether that is how it turns out or not. I feel like our position would be more interesting or more exciting if I felt threatened by these guys by these Dothraki, and I really don't. I don't feel nearly
I
the
would say
terror.
if you're Dothraki, though, that kind of humor is very threatening.
Yes, yes.
Cultural.
It's you don't get it.
Fair enough.
And don't forget, while she is in the position to come out of the Grass Sea with an army, possibly if she could take over this call, she also just lost her ships that were burned in the harbor.
Right.
So that was a huge. I mean, we spent all this time with her getting these ships together, and now she's back to square one. no army,
Well,
no
Yeah,
ships.
you know what's funny is when that scene happened, I didn't feel any of the pain of it. It just seemed like, ooh, that's a logistical problem that
Yeah,
Varys and Tyrion are going to have to work out. When you're right, I should have put together immediately like, oh, this is terrible news for the person who deserves to serve on the Iron Throne.
and to me, it's just telling the viewer, oh yeah, no, we're not going by sea. We're going by sea across the narrow sea, but not all the way around. So
Well, how are you going to get across the narrow sea to Westeros without ships?
you get horses.
You can't see, but I'm flapping my wings.
You
like
get
a
horses,
dragon
and you
would.
go to the city, the Bravos, and then you get across the narrow sea.
No, she just
You still
she,
need ships, though.
she leaves everyone.
Yeah, but
behind.
you use the Bravos ship.
She can't get her army across with just the dragons.
No. Okay,
She
okay.
flies across with the dragons, picks up Jon Targaryen. They get married.
get
She
married.
rules the East. He rules the West. And they all high five. They do their own reality TV show. They change their names to Beyonce and Jay-Z. And we're all super thrilled at their new special on HBO.
That's it.
Keeping up with the Targaryens.
No. I think it's the army. The Dothraki army actually goes to Bravos and then takes over Bravos and then crosses.
Dothraki will not get on ships.
Yeah, no.
Plus,
they're
she doesn't
super
have
legit
ships.
They don't
scared.
have to.
They don't call it the Poison Sea for nothing.
It might be
Well,
frozen.
she still doesn't have ships.
It might be frozen by then.
Yeah, maybe. All right. Let's finish up with Justified, episode 2, season 2, wherein character actress Margot Martindale continues her reign of being pretendingly nice to people. And you were like, wait a minute, is she giving apple pie that's poisoned to the daughter now? Nope, it's just cider.
That's forgive me if you already told me this, but that's the chick from The Leftovers, right?
Character actress Margot Martindale has been in The Leftovers. She's been in The Americans. She has a vast resume of awesome character
think you
actress
mentioned-
appearances, including in BoJack Horseman, where she plays character actress Margot Martindale.
I think you had mentioned The Americans
yeah, we
last
talked
time,
about it last
but I
week.
missed the fact that
I didn't
it's-
mention The Leftovers last week.
Yeah,
You're right.
no, it was great to realize it's the same chick. She's wonderful, man. She's got a
she's
real
really good.
She's got a really haunting quality. I would be afraid to be married to her because
Yeah,
she'd
right?
say something sweet, and I'd be afraid I was about to die.
No,
Yeah.
she's amazing, and she rules that holler.
Now, this is the episode in which it's just a simple escort mission. They're going to take a pregnant prisoner to get her a sonogram. That's it. Nothing else is going to happen.
Can I tell you something? This was very much a one-off Monster of the Week, wacky situation thing. We done it again. We stepped into some other story outside of ours.
Except with a twist is that Raylan doesn't shoot the suspect. His partner does.
Oh yeah, good point. Also, I loved the set piece, the showdown on the gas, covering him in gas, and talking about like as somebody who the guy who literally wrote the book on fire eating, when he's like, silly, ain't the liquid that burns, it's the vapors. I was like, yes, that's exactly right. You'd be an idiot to pull the trigger. Loved that, and I gotta tell you, I did not care one whit for Boyd Crowder as a religious icon. I'm in love with him as a blue-collar workaday demolition man working in a mine. I'm super, super interested to see more of this.
I feel like that's not going to last, though. Like
I as long as it lasts, I want to see him in those glasses. I want to see him drinking his Pabst Blue Ribbon, just saying I want to work and do the right thing.
Oh, I go home for Ava.
Yeah, I guess that was the big twist, right?
Although it kind of felt like she was just there because she's hiding out, not that there's any romantic entanglement, because she's basically got him the gauze and was like, fix yourself.
Yeah.
Not a lot of love there.
Don't want to spoil, but
Nope.
Ada and Boyd are star-crossed lovers, and that's a wonderful story, and this is the beginning.
That is a spoiler.
No,
Yeah, that's you literally said
You
I'm not going
definitely
to
just
spoil,
spoiled
and
something
then you
because Ava and Boyd
definitely
are not
introduced the
together and
spoiler.
never have
Yeah.
been.
no. I'm sorry. It's English is hard.
No, es suficiente, Jaime.
No comprende, Tom. Sorry.
No hablo
No
un
habla.
poco español.
All right. Well, suffice to say, I'm really enjoying. I'm glad I got caught up. It was a really fun episode today. I think there's the pregnancy is one of those electrified third rails that really could supercharge a story if you've been through it and or have had a loved one who's gone through it. And I think they did a really good job of making what otherwise might not be the most compelling story really interesting to me.
Yeah. No, this episode particularly didn't increase or decrease my love for Justified, but I was perfectly satisfied.
Super.
Put it that way. Jaime, thank
Yes.
you so much for hanging around for Spoiling Time.
Thank
This
you.
was awesome.
Thank you. No, I enjoyed it immensely.
And if you didn't hear on Cordkillers already, folks, you got to back Toots, the unicorn that farts rainbows when you get good news. It's at Indiegogo. You can go to bit.ly/Toots the Unicorn, TOOTZ the Unicorn, and get yourself a unicorn.
By the
that
way,
will cheer you up and
for
make
no
you happy.
other reason, you should check it out so you can listen to Brant Hughes' voice, Toots the Unicorn, without ever once mentioning the word farting rainbows. Listen to this. Oh,
I'm a unicorn, and I love happiness and sparkles and sunshine. And once I'm connected to the internet, I'll let you know when important things happen. The only way a unicorn knows how. I can check Twitter for your notifications.
And that's
as well as
it.
your favorite hashtag.
So well done. So well done. Go check it out, folks. Thank you, Jaime. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
absolutely, man. Good times.
I'm well spoiled.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.